Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we have an absolutely massive update to the roadmap and the release view. So without further ado, let's just get right into this information. Okay, Star Citizen 1.0. This is the big update to the roadmap right now. Following the reveal of Star Citizen 1.0 at CitizenCon 2954, we're excited to introduce a new addition to release view in the public roadmap. This column outlines the high-level objectives for the 1.0 persistent universe, offering a clear vision for where we're headed. While it's not a comprehensive list of every feature, it highlights the core goals that will shape the 1.0 experience. This new column represents our development journey towards 1.0, allowing us to continuously release features and content ahead of and leading into the official 1.0 launch. As features, content are completed and ready for the next live patch, they'll migrate from Star Citizen 1.0 column into a dedicated patch specific column. This approach lets us deliver regular updates to live servers while giving you a clear picture of what to expect from the 1.0 experience overall. Head over to Release View to see the full overview. So basically what CIG is saying here is that on the release view of the roadmap, they've added a brand new column with all of the features that they went through at CitizenCon. And as the game continually develops, they will move these features into dedicated release columns that precede it. So now we're going to go over to the release view and take a look at what that is. Okay, so now we're here at the release view. If you guys have never seen this before, I will leave it linked in the video description. Again, after you watch this video, you could go there and take a look at it yourself. But we can see here we're in the 324.x patch cycle right now. And there are some things that, might pique our interest, as well as 4.0. So there are some major updates to 4.0, and now we have 1.0, which says tentative. There is no date. Okay, 4.0 is still tentative, slated for Q4 of 2024. Okay, so in characters, we have Starware. In gameplay, we have launch security. Okay, this is something that CIG wanted to have in previously, but again, they've moved it to 1.0, so we'll get it at some point. Planetary shields. We talked about this. I made a whole video about this. This is going to be the end game for large orgs. This is basically, protecting your ground bases, your stations, that type of thing. Then we have ownership. Okay, this is going to give you the ability to transfer ownership to different things. This is incredibly important to sell items to other players, and larger items like ground vehicles and ships that you craft yourself. This is going to be critical to the player economy that CIG has planned for the game. Guild system. Okay, this is something that the community has been asking for a long time. So we can officially organize in game, not just on sites like Discord and that type of thing. We can get together in game and have the tools that we need to be more organized. Insurance, taxes, and warranty. This is another thing that we talked about in a previous video. If you guys want to know more about that, you could check that out. But this is another very important feature that we need before 1.0. Okay. Reputation V2. This is going to be big with the guild system that CIG wants to release. That will have, it will contain the linear progression of the game, essentially. And it is going to be necessary for things like the story and whatnot. New player professions. Okay, addition of new player professions to the persistent universe. I don't entirely know what this means, but this is probably as vague as it is, because CIG is probably working through the different things that they need for it. A good example for that is probably like hacking as a profession. Hacking is not data running or anything else that exists in the game right now, but it's something that CIG might want to turn into a more full out profession where, there is mission content for that, for people who want to do hacking. Next, we have Death of a Spaceman. Okay, this is big and very important, introducing permadeath and associated consequences to Star Citizen. Again, this is kind of vague, but CIG has talked about this at length in the past. Essentially, you might have, 5 lives or something like that, and then your items will need to get transferred to a new character. CIG did talk about, having taxes associated to your will, a death tax, so to say. So maybe you have 5 lives, then you die, and you have to pay to have all of your items transferred to a new character. So that system is going to be critical for 1.0. AI blades. This was something the community had a lot of questions about. Solo gameplay. I haven't made a video about that yet, but I do want to talk about that, where the community really asked CIG if we're going to get NPC or AI, and CIG confirmed that they are working towards getting us AI blades for 1.0. And again, that is going to be critical because CIG kind of painted this picture that you will have the ability to solo some of your ships, some of these larger ships. If not, you're not going to be the most efficient, best play in the game with AI blades, but they still told you you'd be able to use these ships in certain capacities, right? So AI blades will enable that. So that's really critical to come on 1.0. Player space stations. This was a major headlining presentation at the con. This is end game for orgs as well, end games for a lot of players who kind of share. Maybe there might be some kind of org alliance, different orgs build a space station together. This is going to be a potential economic boom for player economies, different players using the station facilities of this other org. This is going to be really big for 1.0. Crafting. Again, another major headlining presentation at CitizenCon. This is completely going to change the game, open up the player economy, sandbox, emergent experiences, you name it. A lot of people are looking forward to its crafting. Base building as well. What more can really be said about this? I do want to make a video about both crafting and base building in the future. They have this set tentative for 1.0. Player-to-player trading, all part of the crafting and base building loop right there. A place to sell your items to sell. I look forward to player economy in this game. I know that a lot of people look forward to Quanta, or what CIG is now calling Star Sim, but really to give purpose to a lot of things you do in the game, a player economy is really going to give content when CIG is not always just sitting there making missions and doing that type of stuff. The player base being able to self-sustain, I think that's a big part of any MMO. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if the developers is just kind of spoon feeding the community content, I think it can get stale. You will have people drop and come back only when the content comes around. If the community is a little bit more self-sufficient, they have that ability to make their own content, and you see the game flourish a little bit more. You look at some of the top games available right now: Roblox, Minecraft, GTA 5. Those have huge communities that make a lot of content for the game, and I think that Star Citizen community is great at making content for this game. So the more tools CIG gives us to make our own content, I feel like the more powerful the game is going to be. So I'm really looking forward to that. Player organizations. Now, this kind of exists on Spectrum and whatnot. This is really implementing them, in a more integral way. Social mobiGlass app. This is important, kind of like the friend finder in a lot of MMOs. This will give you the ability to group up. Again, CIG is really trying to push the multi-crew content, so they really need to give solo players a way to get involved. Right now, you really have to kind of fight, struggle to find a group and people to play with and that type of stuff. This will be kind of like a mission system, essentially, where you will be able to say, I need a gunner, I need, a salvager, I need X, Y, and Z, and you'll be able to find people who have 5 stars, 4 stars, high ratings, are good at their job, and they can essentially command more income, more money, because they're good at their job and that type of thing. Again, leading to that play economy that is going to be so exciting and immersive in this game. I just can't wait for the future of this game. It sounds so exciting. Citizenship. Okay, this is big. This is basically going to tell you where you can and cannot build a base. It'll have different benefits you're going to need to finish the story to be able to do that. And that's just in the gameplay section. Now let's look at core tech, global illumination. This is going to make the game a little bit better. Looking performance-wise, it should also help. Star audio. Again, this is kind of like that speed of sound, explosions that happen far away. You'll hear the sound a little bit after. Not strictly necessary in my opinion, but it is going to help the game feel, a lot more immersive. Then we have Star Sim. This is what Quanta used to be. This is the back-end systems and tools simulating the economy and whatnot. So this is going to be your NPC daily routines, the potential of you getting pirated if you hang around a Lagrange point or something like that. Again, this is kind of like a black box. We don't know what's inside. We don't know exactly how it works. Hopefully it's good. People are saying that Tony Z still works at CIG, and apparently he's cooking something up. So we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. Then we have content instancing. This is going to be, instance dungeons in a lot of other MMOs. You go into the dungeon, you kill the boss, you do all this type of stuff. This Star Citizen is going to have something very similar, where you kind of go to a specific landing zone, and this kind of opens up more content for you, instead of having to worry about putting that load on the servers and having to worry about other players in the area, because landing zones are very resource intensive. So this gives you the opportunity to kind of go in and kind of be on your own separate situation and run the content, and hopefully performance is better. Dynamic server meshing. Okay, with 4.0 we're getting static server meshing. Right now Evo is testing 4.0 with 4 shards, I believe 250 players. So dynamic essentially works in a way where if 100 people are at Microtech, CIG will spool up a server just for Microtech to deal with those 100 people. So the idea is that this will allow shards to be much more dynamic and larger, and be able to hold different player counts depending on where people are congregating. But it's still probably going to have some kind of soft cap, maybe 3,000 or 10,000 or something like that. But ultimately it will spool up servers where players go. So if there's no players in a specific area, don't have to worry about it. Then we have Genesis Starkitect. This is CIG putting outposts and distribution centers and bases on the surfaces of planet. We're going to get a lot of these locations. CIG has said around 3,000 per planet. I'm excited for that. Then we have Planet Tech V5, part of Genesis. We saw this. This is the jungle biomes, redwood forest, all that good stuff. And then dynamic weather. That was one of the most impressive presentations from CitizenCon. Seeing the Zeus fly to the clouds, the rain on the windshield, the lightning hitting the aurora. Super cool stuff. Okay, missions and events. Okay, we have the main story. We don't know a whole lot about this yet, but again, the reward for completing the main story is citizenship. Then we have location stories. This is going to be the backstory for new landing zones like Castra. We talked about that in a previous video. And then station warfare. This is going to be, again, something that's pretty interesting. I don't know if this is going to be mission based or if this is going to be, emergent gameplay. We'll see. Last, we have World with 11 entries. The Sports Federation. Uh, Utility tunnels, tunnels on the cities. The Nix system. The Council. These are the bad guys in the verse. The Mercenary Guild. These are the good guys in the verse. Academy of Sciences. Okay, this is exploration. Then we have the Resource Workers. This is industrial gameplay. Interstellar Transport Guild. This is cargo haulers and traders. Then we have building interiors. This is going to be your new habs. CIG is going to have to rework that to allow for larger player counts. So these building interiors are more likely going to be instanced like our hangars. So, thousands of players can join a server at one time without a huge issue. And you could always go back to your apartment. Right now, you can't go back to your apartment once you leave it. That, again, is pretty immersion breaking. And a lot of people, probably like to be able to decorate it and do all that kind of stuff. The Castra system, we just looked at that in the previous video, and the Terra system. This is going to be essentially the capital of the verse. This is going to be a very exciting location. Okay, so that is 1.0. We recovered all of this stuff. This stuff doesn't have a date on it. Again, as new columns come out, features from this column will move to that column. Now, here's the thing. This means that things are changing for 4.0. With this update, CIG has removed certain features from 1.0. So let's go back to the roadmap roundup and take a look at some of the changes that are coming to 3.24 and 4.0, and then we'll come back here. So let's go do that. Okay. Notable changes for October 30th, 2024. In the release view, they've added the Mist Silencer Max, which we know about, the Argo CSV SM, which we've received, the RSI Polaris, which we know about, but then they also added the Anvil Hornet F7CR tracker, okay, and the Ghost. Okay, so the tracker and the Ghost Mark II body style are going to be coming set for 4.0. Then acidic caves, okay, rock caves, additional player customization that got added to the current patch, multi-tool updates that got added to the current patch. So Hornet, the R and the S, the Polaris, this stuff, yeah, I think this stuff is actually, yeah, this is getting added to 3.24 column. So this is coming before 4.0. So 4.0 is not slated for the IAE. So CIG is going to do 4.0 after IAE. And I think that's a good decision because IAE is a free fly event. And right now the servers are degraded. People are having a kind of a hard time on live right now. I don't know if it was fixed. I haven't logged on today yet, but I think that this makes a lot of sense. Okay, we want the persistent universe to be in a good state for the big convention for IAE, and it's gonna be nice to see the Hornets come out. It's gonna be nice to see the Polaris, Star Lancer. I think there's enough in here to get people excited. Now here's the bummer. Here's the downside, but I think this is a good thing. Okay, upon review of the support required for server meshing, pyro, and general stability for 4.0, we made the choice to temporarily remove several deliverables from the 4.0 release to free up necessary engineering bandwidth to prepare for launch. Okay, again, they're probably, again, preparing for IAE. This list includes engineering gameplay, life support, fire hazards, fire extinguishers, charge and drain, and the transit refactor. Okay, now, life support. This is a critical thing on your ship. So this is very technical. Okay, getting this working for a lot of ships, all the ships in the game, and essentially have it so that, you know, this feature works retroactively across, you know, all 100 plus ships and Star Citizen, that I kind of expected it to be a big task. Same thing with engineering. You have to add terminals, you have to add relays and that type of stuff, and that all has to work because your ship is not, you know, going to be able to fly without it. So it's not something that you can put in halfway or put in broken. Then fire hazards. I don't think that's too critical, but you know, if you can manage to get the game smooth and stable without it, I think, you know, get rid of it. It's not critical. It's just kind of an immersion thing. Our ships blow up, they catch on fire right now. So it's not that there's no fire in the game right now. There is some fire in the game. Fire extinguishers. We did see a couple of these fire extinguisher assets in the PTU, but they are removing their functionality. Solar bursts. This was kind of a weird one for me, in my personal opinion, because I played the Pyro Playground, and the solar bursts were in the Pyro Playground. So I realistically thought that we were going to get this, and it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with the feature. Okay, but maybe they ran into some kind of blocker where they decided that it would be better to pull it out for now. Then we have charge and drain. This is essentially the ability to add or take power away from batteries and that type of stuff. And then the transit system refactor. Again, not really necessary for static server meshing, but it is going to be necessary for dynamic server meshing, okay? Because if you want multiple servers handling, you know, new baggage, if you want like one server handling the nest departments and then another server handling the spaceport, you need to be able to go from the nest apartments to the spaceport on the tram. So that is something they're going to have to work out for dynamic server meshing. But for now, I think the way the servers work is that there is a server for the planets and a server for space in one star system. And so that's why there's 4 servers per shard with Stanton and Pyro. There's one server handling the planets and one server handling space in Stanton, and then one server handling the planets and one server handling space in Pyro. So you get 4 servers. So you don't really need the transit system refactor in a specific landing zone for that. So I think they can get server meshing working without it. Now, what is also interesting is we're gonna go over. We're gonna look at the release view in a second here. Without engineering and charge and drain, I don't know how some of the features that they still have planned for 4.0, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. So let's go back to the release view and take a look at what we're actually going to what is actually slated to arrive in 4.0. Okay, with locations, we have space station contested zones. This is something that they're testing in 4.0 right now. Asteroid bases, this is something that they're also testing. And then all of the planets, of course, there are many planet locations here. Pyro space stations, we were able to take a look at this in the Pyro Playground as well, but they added new space station like Ruin Station. Outpost colonialism, we have seen this in the Pyro Playground as well. Again, that all happened over a year ago, or a year ago now at this point. Then we have AI, the quasi-grazer. We've seen this on aUEC. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to deliver this. Again, we have the Copian on the Mera. This is essentially just kind of art. I think the AI is pretty simple, not complex stuff. So I'm fairly confident about that as well. But then we have gameplay. Here's where things get a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. Jump points. They've been testing on jump points, but the location repair is kind of interesting to me because CIG has pulled out engineering and they've pulled out charge and drain. So without the terminals and the relays and the ability to add power or take away power, I'm not entirely sure how the location repair missions are going to work. Okay, implementing new missions that introduce engineering gameplay into the persistent universe, first appearing in Pyro's Outpost. Again, it says right there, introducing engineering gameplay, but they took engineering out. So I don't know how these missions are going to work without engineering. I think more than likely this is going to get removed also, or it's it's going to be kind of faked, where it's not really going to be engineering, but it's going to be more like those missions in bunkers where you have to enter a code so the servers don't overheat or something like that. I don't know if you guys remember those missions, but it might be more like that, where it's not really the engineering system, but it's just kind of like the surface layer of that. Again, or they're just gonna, remove this from the patch as well. Again, jump points, I'm pretty confident about that. Then we have Core Tech Server Meshing V1. Again, that is working in aUEC right now with 4.0, where they have 4 servers and 2 shards. I think the recent playtest was a little bit more rough than the previous one. They are working on the back end to, get it to be more stable. I think there are a few other issues going on with it that are not entirely related with silver meshing, because I don't know, the PU is just being weird as well. So we'll see. I don't know, but silver meshing, that will definitely come with 4.0. And then the mission system refactor, that needs to come with silver meshing, because otherwise, a lot of people who have play tested this stuff, missions don't work across servers, so they need to refactor missions to get them to work across servers. So, for instance, you don't want to, take a mission on a planet in one server, and then once you get into space, you lose the mission. That's totally game breaking. So they need to refactor that, or 4.0, can't come out. Now, I haven't heard a whole lot about aUEC testing the mission system refactor, um, or what the success rate of that is, but again, it needs to happen with 4.0. I like what I see so far. Again, the only issue I have is, the location repair. I don't know how that's going to work without engineering. But everything else, I think it was a good decision by CIG to kind of simplify the patch. Again, we will get 4.0.x patches. So just because engineering and life support were taken out from 4.0 point 0 doesn't mean that they won't get added to 4.0 dot whatever. Okay, because we're in 3.24 right now. We're going to get 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and all that kind of stuff before 1.0. So there's a lot more opportunities for that stuff to come in over the next couple of months, next year, and in the future. Now, for 3.24, we did get new ships that they talked about. Again, we have the Zeus Mark II CL, but they've added the tracker and the ghost, and we actually have images here. These were teased in the CitizenCon ship panel, but we just saw the silhouette of these ships. They're showing them in all of their glory right here. This kind of silver and red, I really like it, and this black and red, I like that as well. I'm not entirely sure if these are the official skins or paint colors or whatever, but they're looking pretty good. I like here, we can click on it. You can see the dish on top. That is very iconic for the tracker, and it's the component that it needs to serve its function. Now, when it comes to the modularity of the Hornet series, this is kind of where each Hornet gets a little bit more specific and cemented in their roles. So unlike the stock F7C Mark II, you're not going to be able to take this out and put a turret in. So if you do decide to go with this, you do have a scanning dish. You will essentially have less guns, essentially. Okay, so if you're looking for just like a straight fighter, you're still probably gonna look for the base, right? And the same thing with the ghost. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure if you're going to be able to remove the stealth component, or have that full modularity. But again, like I said, it just really wouldn't make sense to, because these ships are going to be more specific in their roles. But very exciting nonetheless. They haven't said anything about the Super Hornet, but you know, that's basically the F7A. Then we have the Polaris, which, you know, I just glossed over that really quick, but Polaris is a big deal. And the Argo CSV SM, we do have that, of course. The Miss Starlancer Max, very excited about that. The Atlas, the Pemagrade, the Mark II ES, and the MFD rework. So these things we have, they're released. Really, the only new ones are the Max, the Polaris, the Hornets. Very exciting. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the roadmap roundup and the release review update for this month. Very exciting stuff ahead of us. So what does this mean? Well, this column right here is the goalpost. This is CIG announcing these are the things that we want the game to have, and this is the game we want it to be. This is, you know, after 10 plus years of following this game, everybody has their vision, their speculation of what this game is, what they want it to be, what does it mean to them. Now we can all come together united in our goals for this game and say, yes, CIG push ahead to deliver these things and make this game. We know that it's going to have crafting, base building, you know, org battles. These are all things that we want, play economy. And it's not just about agreeing on a vision finally. It's about understanding what it's going to take to get us there. Because a big part of it was we had a lot of this, you know, this pie in the sky viewpoint of how things are going to be. Oh, I want an NPC crew. How does that practically look like? What's that going to take to get into game? No one really agreed on what that looked like and what it was going to take to get into game. Now CIG has to sit down with the team, sit down with the community and outline what those things are and what they can deliver. And they're essentially saying that it's going to go from an alpha to a 1.0 release, and we're going to keep working on it. We're going to keep adding things, like Chris Roberts said at CitizenCon. It's not going to have fishing at 1.0, but it'll come in the future. Same thing with NPCs. We're going to have AI blades first, and then NPCs are going to come in the future. There are also going to be more star systems. The game is going to expand in that way. I think this is the right attitude to have, to try to rein in some of the you know, the lofty goals, some of that scope, and say, okay, this is what we're going to present to you guys, and we're going to keep going after that, but we need to get a solid base together so you guys can actually you know, be a part of this world and see yourself, you know, enjoying this game. Again, it might not be for everybody, but what it is in 1.0 is what the game is going to be. That is the picture that CIG wants to paint for us. And I'm so far impressed. I like what I'm seeing, and CIG's conviction into delivering this, to me, it shows that they're focused. And, you know, people are still going to call it a scam, CIG, a bunch of grifters, and that type of thing. But I think that once you kind of outline what you want to do and your intentions, then people can hold you accountable to that. So if CIG, you know, delivers 1.0, says it's a release game and it's not polished, it doesn't have these features, that's a problem, right? And that's a problem that they can't hide from. So this is the goalpost. This is how we keep CIG accountable. This is what we have to look forward to. This is the game. You know, love it or hate it, I'm going to be there along for the ride. I hope you guys are too. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys. I love hearing from you guys. You guys are very opinionated, and I love that about you. I love that about this community, this channel. But like I always say at the end of these videos, you guys, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salut!